Hey guys, welcome to the Prime Man podcast brought to you by Unshakable Habits. I am your host, Stephen Box, and today's going to be our final episode of 2023. I'm going to actually keep today super short because I know Christmas is just a couple of days away and you guys are really busy and you have a lot going on. But I did want to share some exciting upcoming news and also give you 3 lessons that I personally learned this year that I think could really serve you guys well going into the holiday season and the new year. So first and foremost, let's jump into the exciting news that we have, which is we're going to be doing a live webinar on January the 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this webinar is specifically designed for men 35 and up. And I want to help you get more done in 2024 while maintaining a work-life balance. So guys, I know this is something that is a bit of a struggle for a lot of us to really kind of figure out, like, how do I balance all this? And I want to give you a step-by-step proven roadmap for balancing work, family, and health. And it's specifically designed for the unique needs of men in midlife. So that's about 35 to like 60-ish. Because this is a period of time where we maybe have a business or we maybe have a important role at work. We have family commitments. Many of you have children, some of them small children. You're trying to keep your marriage strong. So you have a lot of commitments. And that's not even getting into the fun stuff, right? That's not even getting into the social things and hanging out with friends and all that kind of stuff and making time for hobbies. That's not even getting into all of that. That's just the important things, right? The things that are at the top of the to-do list. So what I want to go over with you guys in this webinar is how to align your daily actions with your larger vision so you can create a fulfilling and efficient daily routine. I also want to help you break through any mental blocks and master some techniques here to overcome any limiting beliefs and mindset hurdles that, you might have. And these are all things that I've seen over a decade plus of coaching men, that I've seen a lot of guys, this is the things that hold them back, especially at our age. And then the third thing is I'm going to go over with you the 3 changes you need to make to the way you set goals. That's going to help you move past procrastination and begin making real progress so that you have that sense of accomplishment at the end of every single day. So guys, if you want to take part in this webinar and be a part of this, all you have to do is go to unshakablehabits.com/UH24. Again, that's unshakablehabits.com/UH24. And you can register. It is absolutely free. And I look forward to seeing you guys on January the 9th on the webinar. Before I jump into my 3 lessons that I wanted to share with you this week, and like I said, guys, I am going to keep this very, very short this week, but I did want to throw out a quick thank you for everyone who listens to the show. I know that you have a lot of options. I know you could spend this time with anybody else, and I really take that very seriously. I really appreciate the fact that so many people download this podcast every single week and listen to it. It just really means a lot to me, so I greatly appreciate that. Also, just a thank you to all of the guests who have been on the podcast since we switched over our focus to just men. Guys have absolutely brought it. And there's going to be some more interviews that haven't been published yet, but will be published here soon. And they're also amazing. So just a quick second to say just thank you to everyone who listens to the show, as well as everyone who has contributed and helped make the show even better. And as far as those 3 lessons that I've learned that I wanted to share with you, and it feels appropriate to do this kind of year end, right? As we go into the new year. So number one is really about setting unrealistically high goals. I've always been the kind of person who has been taught to set the big, hairy, audacious goals, right? The big, scary goals. And I still believe in that. I believe that it's important that we give ourselves something that gets us out of our comfort zone, that pushes a little bit, maybe scares us even a little bit, right? But we have to be very smart about the way we attack those goals. And I think that's where a lot of us get ourselves into trouble, is we set these like overly ambitious targets or plans kind of along the way to that goal. And then we get frustrated and we get burnt out. And I know I went through this when I first started the podcast, and I had these crazy idea of, I'm going to record all these interviews and I'm going to go through and I'm going to edit them and everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to make the sound absolutely perfect. And I'm going to ask all these questions, and then I'm going to go back through and I'm going to pull out all these videos and I'm going to post like 5 or 6 different reels for every single interview. And yeah, that never happened. So it's a lesson I've learned the hard way. That's not necessarily a mistake just from this year, but it is something that has been reinforced to me all year long. And sometimes it's things that I've personally done, but sometimes it's also just been the conversations that I've had with guests. And I hear this from their stories over and over, where when they set these overly ambitious goals, they failed. But when they took the step back and they kind of broke it down to smaller pieces and they worked smarter with it, then they found success. So it's really not something that was new to me this year, but it was something that was reinforced to me very heavily, and just a great reminder that I wanted to share out with you guys. The next one is, and this kind of goes along with the first one, right? But it's neglecting that work-life balance. And that's why I wanted to do the webinar too, right? To help men understand, like, how do we find that? Because I find a lot of times we do prioritize work over our personal life and even our health. And it can really harm our relationships and our overall well-being. And I'm guilty of having done this myself. But this year, I really made a commitment to stop working at certain times, or to make sure I'm available to my wife, kind of looking at what her schedule is and making sure that we're getting to spend time together, even if it means sometimes getting a little behind on my to-do list. And I got to tell you guys, I feel like it has really strengthened my marriage. I feel like it has made our relationship that much better. And I know that my wife appreciates the fact that I'm around more often. Now, that doesn't mean I'm there every time she would like me to be. It doesn't mean that I'm always there, because I do have to get some work done. I do have to still work hard. I do have big goals I'm chasing after. So there are going to be those times. But by far and away, I am much more available to her and to my marriage than I was before. And it also makes it easier to like get into my fitness routine and things like that, because I'm learning to carve out that time for myself without feeling guilty about abandoning my to-do list. So that's the second big lesson that I wanted to share with you guys. And then the third one, and this one is absolutely huge, is don't overlook rest and recovery. I mean, this is one that I have known for a while now, having, spent over a decade in the health field and starting off as a personal trainer and everything. I've always understood the importance of rest and recovery. But what I've really learned over the last year is that it's not just about sitting down. It's not just about taking some deep breaths or some meditation or anything like that. Recovery is something you have to be intentional about. It's not something that you just sit down for 5 minutes and you're good. It's really something that takes a lot of work. I have little tiny pieces of recovery built into every single day. And then about once a week, I have bigger recovery routines. I'm telling you guys, it will make such a huge difference when you focus on recovery. And we're not just talking like physical recovery, but mental recovery as well. When you focus on those things, like your mind is sharp, you get more stuff done, you're more productive, you're more in tune, I guess I could say, with the things that are happening around you. Your relationships get better. So, with maybe your wife or your kids or even your coworkers, right? You're going to find that when you're focused on recovery, you just feel so much better. It's crazy. I had a friend actually tell me earlier today that he just started adding just some stretching to his routine in the morning. And ever since he started doing that, at the end of the day, he doesn't feel tired. He's not sore the way he used to be. And it's just like some simple little stretching first thing in the morning. And that alone is helping him to feel better at the end of the day. So it's something I've seen in my own life. It's something I've seen in the life of other people. And it is always, always a good one. So the first one, just to kind of run back through this with you guys, I know I'm not necessarily the best at numbering stuff as I go through it, but the first one is, yes, set big, hairy, scary goals, but be smart about the way you go about them. Don't put yourself in a position where you get frustrated and burned out because you're putting too much on your plate and trying to do too many things. Be smart about the way you attack those big, scary goals. The second lesson is, make sure that we're not always putting work over our personal life or our physical well-being. And I get it, right? I mean, if we're going to set these big goals, there's going to be times where we're going to have to be really focused, really intense, locked in on work, and that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when that becomes our norm, it becomes problematic. And if you can start to be more intentional about spending time working on your health, working on those relationships, it will make such a dramatic difference in your life, way more so than any career success ever will, I promise you. And then the third one is make sure you're focused on recovery, because if you do not focus on recovery, there will come a time where you will be forced to focus on recovery. And trust me, you're going to get so much more benefit by intentionally focusing on recovery rather than being forced into it. So that is it, guys. I hope that you all have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year as well. We will be back with the podcast sometime in early January. I don't have the exact date that I'm going to come out with the next episode there just yet, but definitely the first week or so there in January, we'll publish a new one. But I also want to remind you guys again, hopefully you've already gone and done it now, but if you haven't already, unshakablehabits.com/UH24, go in, reserve your spot for that free webinar, and let's make 2024 your best year yet. As always, guys, while none of us are born unshakable, we can all become unshakable.